Safety, this is Phyllis. How can I help you?
Hi, I was trying to reach Kathy Frazier.
I'm sorry, ma'am. She's in a conference right now. Can I take your name and number? Have her call you back?
She's actually supposed to be in a conference with me. I'm Lucy Hogan from Performance Logic.
From Web EX or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on that right now.
Oh, yeah, this is we were going to give her a call for the audio.
Okay, hold on one second.
The representative will be with you shortly.
Did you know that you may verify your appointments when calling our VA automatic refill line? Please listen for the option for the appointment information.
We are sorry for the delay. Please.
Hi, this is Kathy.
Hi, Kathy. This is Lucy Hogan from Performance Logic. How you doing?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good. Apologize about the slight delay here getting started.
Oh, that's okay. I dialed into a number, and I'm getting music. I'm on hold, I guess, or it's telling me that it would start shortly. I'm not in my office standing here talking to you now.
Oh, okay. Well, if you'd like, we wanted to set that up in case there was an additional people who are coming to the meeting, but since it's just you guys, we could give you just a straight call on your office line.
Okay, do you want me to hang up and just transfer this over?
That would be great. Sorry about that.
Do I need to keep the visual up on the computer?
Yes. Yeah, if you can.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
Since you want to refill, when entering the prescription number, enter only the numbers, no letters.
We are sorry for the delay. Please hold. A VA representative will be with you shortly.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're here, Kathy.
Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Good now. Okay, I've got the volume up now. I can hear you. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, if you have any problems, just let us know, and we can make things a little louder on our end. So, Kathy, it's you, and did you say that you also have John from EMS joining you as well?
Yes.
All right, hi, John.
Again?
I also have Garrett Brown on the line from Performance Logic who was working with you to schedule the meeting. And what we wanted to do today is walk you through kind of a quick sign-off on the configuration data that you guys sent for West Palm Beach. We've already signed off it from our system, but we want to just give you guys a little bit, show you what it looks like in the system to make sure that that's kind of what you were expecting or what you guys want going forward. Of course, you will have the ability to make changes to the configuration as necessary going forward once we've launched the system. But we like to get everything set up nicely for you initially. Next day, we can talk a little bit about the tablet devices and discuss how you guys might want to manage them once the system is live. I know that we don't have OINT on the call, which is absolutely fine. We can kind of talk through it just a little bit, everything on that. And then after that, we can talk really, really fast about what in our system the EOC coordinator, the different individuals are responsible for, specifically, again, the EOC coordinator for you guys. And then finally, I'll just run through the next things that are coming up and what you guys can expect moving forward.
Sounds good.
Okay. If you have any questions, of course, absolutely just stop me and we can show you through here. The first thing we want to do here is actually show you the Performance Logic system. Can you see it up on your screen? It has current projects up in the top left.
Yes.
Okay, great. What you can see up here now is kind of the main initial page of the Performance Logic system. What we have for each facility is we'll have a facility level folder. So here you can see the West Palm Beach folder. And underneath that you can see these are all of the departments that were listed in your configuration guide. In addition, if you look over here, we've got what we call an owner column, and this should be all the primary contacts from each of the from each of the departments are listed right here. Just so from this initial page, you can always kind of see all that information just laid out right in front of you. The first thing that we wanted to do is just make sure that we have kind of the right people assigned to the correct roles for each department. So the way our system's set up is that all of the information will automatically kind of be stored. All the EOC information will be stored at each of these departments. So anytime something's routed to a particular department, the data will actually be available. You'll be able to kind of zero in on that data by going to that specific department.
Okay.
This first tab that's going to open up here is the status tab, which is a dynamic dashboard. That, as I said, will display the environment of care information related to the deficiencies routed to this particular department for resolution. Obviously, there's nothing in here right now, but as you guys begin to use the system, the appropriate data will automatically update in these dashboards. So you're always able to access just each department's information right here.
Are they listed verbatim? Is it a descriptive? Does it say something like storage stacked too high to the sprinkler head, or is it the exact question off of the questions that were sent out initially for people to review?
There are a lot of different ways you can look at these dashboards. One of them is looking at the deficiencies. So it would say, it does roll them up by the deficiency that was actually cited. So if if the inspector said ceiling tiles are stained and damaged, we keep account of how many times that's occurred in the last, whatever time period you want to look at. If you want to look over the last month or over the last 6 months, each month what were your top items, you have the ability to look at those, yeah.
But is that in the upper left-hand corner? Is that the kind of information that is there? What's there in that upper left-hand block?
Oh, in this one right here?
Yeah. Is that a chart or is that narrative?
Oh, it's a graph. I apologize. Yeah, there'll be graphical representations here. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
We do also have, just in general, we've got a couple different ways you can do reporting, and we do have some just standardized text-based reports as well that you can use for your EOC reporting as you like, and you also can, once there's data in here, you can also look at kind of a listing report view where you can look at everything, every deficiency that's been found, kind of listed out and organize the data in different ways.
Okay.
And we'll go through all of that too going forward once we have you up and you have a little data. We actually walk you through a couple different reporting options, and if you have any questions or if there's any specific reports that you guys look at right now with your EOC data, we're happy to kind of show you the best way to generate that same information in our system.
Okay.
If you look here at the top, you'll see that there's kind of a series of tabs that run across the top, and that's how you kind of navigate within our system. So for right now, I just want to go over to the Team tab, and this is going to show us the kind of the project roster or the department roster for this particular department. For each of these departments, we have preloaded in all of the contacts that you listed in your configuration guide, and there are 4 roles that you filled out that you could fill out people for in the configuration guide: primary contact, secondary contact, ELT member, and service chief. In the performance logic system, when a deficiency is cited, the inspector records which department the deficiency was found in and also who's responsible for addressing it. When the inspection is complete, we automatically route notifications to the primary and secondary contact for each department, letting them know what they're responsible for addressing that was found during that inspection. Those notifications include a URL web link, which allows those contacts to record any corrective actions or add action plans as necessary.
Okay.
Basically, the primary and or secondary contacts are the individuals who we expect to actually be updating the information in our system. But because of how many departments are structured, often the contact listed may be actually like an administrative assistant to the department rather than being like a section or a service chief. Since the administrative assistant is the one who's actually going to be kind of maintaining that information for that particular department. And one of the things that we are just wanting to confirm with every site is that with that kind of in mind, that the appropriate individuals were assigned as primary contacts.
How does that get changed with staffing changes over time? Is it something that I will be able to do, or will it be up to the department to do it?
You'll be able to do it. Yeah, it'll absolutely be fully available to you guys, and we'll show you how to manage all the configuration going forward, because I'm sure even by the time we do training, usually there's changes at each facility. because there's just so much change. Yeah, nothing's going to stay the same. Yeah, so you'll have the ability to edit all this going forward. It's definitely not set in stone by any sense of the word.
Yeah, understood.
But do these seem like the right people for this department, or was that what you guys were thinking as well when you were filling out the configuration guide? There's no problem there?
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
Great. Sometimes we get something where a facility accidentally fills in like all their VPs for each service line, and they don't really want to get all the emails.
Right.
In addition to that initial notification that's sent out when the inspection is complete, there are automatic reminders that we also send out about on a weekly basis to the primary and secondary contact, just reminding them of items that are still open, things that are coming due that they need to make sure that they're addressing. And in this case, if a service chief and ELT member or ELT member are also assigned, what we use those for is we can automatically escalate the reminders. Once things start to get to the point of being close to being due or close to being overdue, we'll escalate it so that kind of helps facilitate making sure that people are actually putting in corrective actions in a timely manner, and so that everyone can meet kind of the national 14-day metric. So that's what we use the ELT member and the service chief for.
Okay, that was my next question. I didn't know what kind of collaboration that Performance Logic had been able to have with the VA, and if they were going to stick with 14 days, or since you're sending out a weekly reminder, if they were going to drop to 30. Because if I understand your system, it's 7 days later that you send a reminder, and then on your second reminder, technically, they're past the due date.
It actually is a little less than 7 days. I believe the reminder schedule that's right now being used in the pilot and what's going to be used for Wave 1 is it's the initial notification. It's 5 days after the initial, so 5 days after the inspection, they get a reminder.
Okay.
Then I want to say 10 days after the initial inspection, the day before it's due, and then on the due date, and then I think it's every 3 days after the due date, they get a reminder.
Okay.
So there are kind of a lot that are going out.
Okay. Our system does every 3 days from the beginning.
Oh, okay, perfect. So it's a little bit more in line with that.
Yeah, they'll appreciate not getting as many reminders. Okay.
Do you have any other questions while we're here? Anything about kind of this department level, how we put this together? No?
I don't think so.
Okay, no problem. The next thing we wanted to show you was just kind of give you an idea of what all that configuration information you sent us, what it actually looks like in a real inspection.
Yeah, right.
So all of your inspections are going to be kind of coordinated and also kind of stored at your top kind of facility level folder.
Okay.
And we're going to be giving you more training on this, so absolutely don't worry about having to know how to do all this stuff on top of that. This is just kind of to make sure that we have everything set up correctly going forward. So again, you are going to have one of these little status tabs here, and this is again going to be one of those dashboards that will automatically update as information is filled. And this one is automatically going to update information from across the entire facility rather than just an individual department when we were looking at before.
Okay.
Again, we've got a series of tabs here at the top, and most of the work for your inspections is actually going to be done, not surprisingly, in the Inspections tab. So we set up, just for the purpose of today, this is on a training site, so it's not live or anything like that. We set up just a dummy inspection so we could show you kind of what things ended up looking like, or what things would look like when you're setting up an inspection in the system. At the top here is all the inspection details. This is the information about where the inspection is going, when it's going, who's going on it, what departments are involved, etc. And what you do is you first select what building you guys are going to, and here you can see we've preloaded everything that you guys gave us.
Okay.
And then underneath that, you select the locations that you're going to. So based on what was in Building 1, these are the locations that you have available. And again, you do have the ability to adjust this all going forward. You don't have to, it's not, again, not set in stone. And then you're able to check whatever areas you're going to. So for this one, we just said, hypothetically, we're going to the entire first and second floor. But you're able to select subsections depending on how big a particular area is or where you're visiting on that inspection. In addition to the locations, you do then have the ability to say which departments you're actually visiting on that inspection, what departments operate in those areas that you're going to be inspecting on that day. And again, this is just an example.
Is that critical and or required?
It is, yeah. The reason that it's required is when you're actually citing an inspection, so of course the inspectors would be doing this on a tablet device, but it's fairly similar to what is right here. When they find an item, they cite it. So there's a little button, and I can actually show you guys what the tablet device looks like on my desktop if you'd like to see it. But they cite an item, and then they fill out the location that it was found in. And so I believe we actually asked you guys originally, just some of your locations were like 1A and B, and we asked if it was okay to split them up. The reason for that is when the inspector's actually conducting the inspection, we want them to be able to say where they actually were when they found the item.
Okay.
And then, of course, we also have a field where they can type in either a room number or an area indicator. If they're in like a stairwell or if they're in a hallway between two rooms, they have the ability to just type that in right here, for example. And then as needed, they can add any notes or comments about specifically what was found that needs to be, or how it needs to be addressed.
How many characters do they have there?
As many as they want.
Okay.
If you type in as you go, it just starts adding more lines.
Okay, perfect.
The reason we do need, John, this goes back to your question, the reason why we do need you to record the departments that you're going to be inspecting on that particular day is when an item is being cited, we do want the inspector to say what department they were in when they found that item. The reason for this is that
they were in the department causing the deficiency.
I'm sorry, Kathy, I missed the beginning of that.
Okay. What the using service there, it could be MAS causing the deficiency in a dental space.
Yeah, and so that's the other thing here is in addition to the department you were inspecting when you found the item, you do have the option of routing it to a different department. Mm-hmm. So if the inspector, and again it looks a little different on the tablet, but if the inspector says this is the department I was inspecting and then just says, okay, there, I'm done, we're going to route it over to the dental department. So for example, in this case, maybe this is an issue where the dental staff actually need to put in a request to medical equipment or biomed to get an item inspected or however you do it at the facility. So we actually want the dental folks to actually take care of this. We would just leave this right like this, and then it would be routed to them, and they would be notified that they need to address this. If, though, it's something like a ceiling tile broken in dental, obviously dental is never going to be fixing that. And that's why we asked you guys to identify some responsible services. So these are basically departments or service lines that resolve deficiencies found throughout the facility. So, you know, a ceiling tile anywhere is probably going to go to engineering if it's broken.
Okay, my question there is, go ahead and click engineering, if you don't mind. We're walking through this. So my service is going to get notified that we've got 3 broken ceiling tile in dental.
Uh-huh.
Or is dental, I guess my question comes up, is dental going to be notified that there's 3 damaged tile in dental?
Yes. So when the inspection's completed, what we do is we send a notification to every department that you were inspecting and let them know that their EOC inspection was conducted, and we list out everything that was found. But we also, if it's something that went to like engineering or if it was something that was actually completed or fixed during the course of the inspection, we notify them that there's nothing that they need to do to actually resolve it, that it's being resolved by another department. But we do let them know that it was found.
Let me give you a scenario all the way through and then tell me how we handle it in this system.
Mm-hmm.
If we find the 3 stained ceiling tile in dental and we send the message to dental, is it your system's expectation that dental takes corrective action on that by submitting a work order to engineering?
That actually is something that you would be able to determine. There's 2 ways to handle that. One is if during the inspection engineering is identified as the responsible service in here, kind of like what John was saying. What we're going to do is we're going to notify dental that it was found, but we're going to tell them that engineering is responsible for fixing it, and we're going to send an additional notification to engineering, letting them know that they need to be resolving these things.
So is it engineering then that enters the corrective action and not dental?
Yes, correct.
So what you're saying is the responsible service for the deficiency is also, if they're the responsible service, they're responsible for the corrective action.
Correct.
Yeah.
Regardless of the using service.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way I set it up, because it's the closest thing to what we're doing now.
I was going to ask, is that kind of similar to how you do it, or do you guys prefer that, like, if this was, or if ceiling tile was found, that dental actually go and put in a work order outside of?
No.
Okay, good.
No, and that, I don't know if you saw my first submission, but it was in the discussions after this that we set this up this way, because that's the closest thing to what we have right now.
Okay. Yeah, you guys do have a lot of responsible services, typically more than we see in most facilities. That's not wrong. It's absolutely up to the facility. So that is one more thing we just wanted to check. Given kind of this conversation, all of these are all appropriate responsible services.
Right.
Like wherever you are, you might be routing something to the associate director's office, for example.
Because some of the issues that we identify are more global and need to be addressed at a higher level, or we may find pharmacy issues that need to be addressed by pharmacy on any inpatient care unit. Infection control often addresses issues across multiple service lines. In the course of, for instance, where you have like the using service up above, and multiple services listed, and that's appropriate because we see so many departments in one area, that allows them that flexibility to take action on something and close it out.
Okay, absolutely, yeah.
Well, and so many of your questions are not environmental hard structure, but they're compliance issues. And so for some of those compliance, we need things like quality assurance and quality management, infection control involved in, because they're going to be compliance issues.
Okay, yeah. Facilities
not a work
vary
order
on,
thing.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
Something fixed, but something maybe that all staff need education on, something like that.
Absolutely, and facilities handle that, as I was saying, facilities handle that a little bit differently, and so the way you guys have it set up is perfectly fine. It's just a little different than some other facilities. But
step off this way anyway and see. Okay.
So do you guys have any other questions about this part of it, the configuration, kind of what we did with your information, how we set things up in our system?
This screen that we're seeing right now, this is what the person doing the inspection is seeing. And
it's actually it's a little different in the tablet. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick here for you. So this is actually kind of this is actually the application that we run on the tablets. I've just put it onto my desktop computer so I can basically do this and show people. So what you would see when your inspector would log onto the tablet, they would log in using their VHA username and password or their PAV card. They would hit the download button, and then they would see any and all inspections that they have available to them. I've got a lot of extra ones here because this is one of our, this is a demo site. So you typically would probably only see like 1 or 2 inspections that are usually just the inspections for that day or for that week.
Okay.
And what you would be able to do then is they would be able to download the inspection and you can see now that I know that I've got this on my tablet.
Okay.
So that they can download multiple inspections if for some reason you guys go on multiple inspections in the same week. They're able to download them all in advance. And when they're ready, they just go ahead and start the inspection once they're on site, once they're on the area or the floor that they're inspecting. And they'll have just their list of questions. Right now it's just set up to give me engineering, but you can set it up so that a particular inspection, if you have your infection control person, they get infection control as their checklist, et cetera. Or here, we'll look at the engineering because we're here. And as they're walking around, they're able to, if they find something, this is all kind of, I don't know if this is the same system you guys use now, or a similar system, but it's all citing by exclusion. So you're looking for something. So when you actually find an item, they would hit the cite button, and then here they'd be able to fill in kind of what we were doing, fill in all the information about where they were, what the item was found, room, notes, all of that information, as well as take a photograph. I can't do it on here because it's a desktop computer, but they can take a photograph of the item if they need to.
Okay.
And then when they're done, they'll have each item they've already cited will kind of be listed on here, although they can, if they just want to see their list, they can just kind of hide it, so they're just looking at the list again.
If they do just like you just demonstrated, and now they've failed the ceiling tile, and they've entered that information, and they walk 3 or 4 rooms down and there's another one, do you just go back to that and click cite again and add the second citation?
Absolutely. You're able to just cite it you're able to cite an individual item or an individual issue. You're able to cite that as many times as you want during the inspection.
Okay. Thank you. Good.
So you just keep going. If you see it in 5 locations, you're going to hit cite five different times.
Yep.
Okay.
Depends a little bit on how you guys do your work orders. Some facilities, if you find the same issue, like multiple times in a room, like if you find one room that's got 5 ceiling tile issues, some facilities cite that as a single work order. Some facilities like to cite that as different work orders. That's totally up to you guys, how you guys exactly want to manage that part. But basically, yeah, as you're going through, if you find it multiple times, you just hit cite again.
For right now, where you have 2 locations, administrative offices and informatics, is that an email to education, an email to IRM, and 2 to engineering, or notifications, 1 to education, 1 to IRM, and 2 to engineering?
No.
Yeah, except for we collate all of the notifications, so engineering is only going to get 1 email with all of the lists. They're not going to get individual emails for each item.
Okay.
Okay, where you have right there where it says responsible service being using service.
So in this case, that's just because of how I was citing it. But here, since it's ceiling tile, yeah, you would actually, whoever was citing this would, in this case, this particular site only uses facilities instead of engineering. So what they would do is when they're citing, they would assign facilities to be responsible. And then we'd send 1 email to education notifying them of all of the results, and 1 to IRM, but for these ones we'd say, okay, we found these, but facilities is responsible for addressing it, and we would send a notification to facilities listing out all of the different items they need to take care of from that inspection.
Okay.
Well, if there aren't any other questions about the configuration, the only other thing that we can do is if you have a schedule of your inspections over the next year, we can preload that for you. Again, you have the ability to maintain that going forward, but we can, similar to what we're doing now, to make it so you don't have to start from scratch, we can upload that.
I thought I gave you that.
Okay.
I know that we were going to make a couple of changes locally to our schedule, but I think when I talked to someone, they said that it could be changed later.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can change it later. Let me check and see if I have it. If I don't,
I can rescind that. I don't want that to hold us up from stepping off on this.
Oh, we don't even need the schedule to go forward. You guys are good to go. We just have, we have to make sure OINT is ready to go. But from the EOC coordinator standpoint, you guys are totally good to go. If you have the schedule, it just tends to make it easier on the facility going forward. And what we do have, and what I can send out today is, let me just pull it up here really fast, is we have a template that we can work with you to fill out, kind of similar to the configuration guide, which is just the date of the inspection, what building you're going to, what locations, departments. And then if you have multiple inspection teams, some facilities have like an A team and a B team that go on different weeks, or if it's just the same group every week, we can preload that in as well. But again, this isn't required going forward.
Okay.
And the only thing about this that's a little bit difficult if you already have an inspection is it does need to match the configuration data that you sent us, at least well enough that we're able to know what information you're referencing. So we can work with you on putting that together. And I can send you this template today, and we can talk about it a little more. Okay. So the next thing we wanted to talk about was tablet deployment. I don't know, have you guys heard anything from your OINT about your tablets?
They were all given to IT and formatted is not the word that I'm looking for,
configured.
But that was done. They came back just recently and said that they needed them all back again, that they had a new action item for them to be re-imaged. And all the tablets now are back in OIT, and I don't know the status of that work.
Okay, no problem.
Do you know anything about the action item that was given to them for a time frame?
Yeah, so it actually was basically it's a re-imaging of the tablets. The original image, which is kind of all of the back information of how the tablets are set up, was basically the equivalent of like your desktop computer, and so it was making the tablets in the pilot kind of run a little slowly because there's a bunch of extra stuff on there. And so the new image is basically a lighter version, which just has the performance logic application on it, so things are much, much quicker. And what we can do is we can have a separate call with your OINT contacts. So I think we have James Barton and Ryan Lewis was the one who's actually working on the tablets.
Right, that's correct.
We can have a quick call with them just to check on their status, make sure that all the additional items are all taken care of.
I kind of thought really that they had already made that change that you're talking about, and I got the impression that the new action item was something else, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's possible.
Because we got our tablets at a point, and they didn't get to them right away, and I thought that their first imaging of our tablets was the slimmer version and not everything that was on desktop.
Oh, okay.
Maybe wrong. I don't know.
Maybe they just took care of it in advance.
Okay.
Well, we can have a separate call with them. And if you guys want, of course, we'll include you on that call. But if you don't, if you've got stuff going on and you don't want to be on that, we're happy to take care of the OINT end of things as well. But if you guys want, you're welcome to be involved as much as you'd like. And then we also like to check with OINT on things like making sure that the label is on there and that they all have their covers and their stylus is attached and things like that.
Right. They did a great job with that.
Oh, good.
They're real responsive, and they work with us real well on that.
Oh, good. Good. That's good to hear. OINT has been, throughout this whole project, the OINT folks have been fabulous trying to get all this taken care of, so it's really great. We do have some best practices that we've seen that came out of the pilot as to how the tablets should be, or the best way to manage the tablets with your inspection team. And I don't know if you guys have talked about this internally at all, if you've come up with any ways that you want to do it, but we're happy to share those best practices with you as well.
So on the best practices on the screen that's up right now, the EOC coordinator is holding the tablets and dispersing them at the inspection, loaded for that day's inspection?
The best way we've actually found to do it is to assign the tablets out to each inspector who comes, or each service. So like engineering gets a tablet, and if there's maybe 2 people who go sometimes for engineering, they kind of pass it back and forth. And then the inspections actually, each inspector does need to log in, and they have to actually download the day's inspection themselves onto the tablet because it's hooked up to their user profile on the actual tablet device.
Okay.
So what we've been recommending is, again, assign them out. That way the inspector can log in and download prior to the inspection. So when the team meets, everybody's ready to go. You don't have to wait for anybody to finish downloading or anything like that. Everyone's able to just kind of walk out and go.
Does the tablet also serve as documentation of attendance by that rounds team member?
Yes.
We've had this paper sign-in log for forever, and at one time the OIG was requiring an actual signature for attendance on rounds, and they've always asked to see that handwritten sign-in log. And I wondered if this would be acceptable for documenting their attendance at the same time. Is it tracked anywhere in the program?
Yes, absolutely. So we track both when someone downloads the day's inspection, and then when it's complete, we track once they've uploaded their data. So from an EOC coordinator perspective, that allows you to look and make sure that everyone has successfully uploaded, so you don't accidentally close things out without someone's data.
Good.
But it also allows you to see who had a tablet, who downloaded the day, and who uploaded. And you can, of course, add, like if someone comes, for example, if maybe the associate director doesn't have a tablet, but they come on the round, you can still give them credit for being there within the desktop application. And then, there's reports that can be run that'll show who attended and who was absent. So for if your infection control team, nobody shows up, but they don't assign, they don't ask someone else to show up for them, you can mark them as being absent, like an unexcused absence, basically. And then we have reports that will show that information.
Is there any issues with somebody that, say, that gets called away and can't do the inspection that day, but they're going to go back and do it a day or 2 later? That's not an issue in the program, is it?
Nope. So that's also a nice thing about having each inspector have the tablets themselves. If they know they can't go and they can go early, that's the best. But if they can go late, too, that's okay. Typically, the inspection, you want to kind of close out the inspection and send out those notifications. I think within, 48 hours is the metric that National is warning to use. So typically, you do want to do it as kind of very close to the time of the actual inspection, but you can also, again, as I said, you can do it before. You've got basically a full day afterwards to do it, and then the EOC coordinators have to have time to get in, kind of review everything, and then send out all the notifications.
Okay.
Do you guys have wireless internet, or are you guys wired? Do you know?
Right now we're wired. We're heading that direction.
Okay. The tablets are configured to work in both a wireless and a non-wired or a non-wireless environment. After you download the inspection, the entire actual conducting is actually done in an offline mode. So even places that have wireless, you're going to go into like a mechanical area, or you're going to walk between buildings, and you're going to lose a signal, all that stuff. So that's not a problem at all that you guys are wired. Typically, what we see with wired sites, the best way to do it is to work with OINT to open second ports or find second ports near the inspector's offices. That way they're able to keep the tablets plugged in. A wired, a USB Ethernet adapter in between rounds, because they do need to stay on the network so they don't get, for security concerns, so they don't get booted off the network. But that allows inspectors to have a place in their office to keep the tablet, to keep it charged, to keep it connected to the internet, and then they can download and upload from their office.
Okay.
And we can go over this when we have the call with OINT. We can kind of explain this as best practice and make sure that there aren't any issues from an OINT perspective with moving forward this way.
Hold on for just a moment. I lost you because I didn't. I went into sleep mode here on my computer.
No problem.
I was taking notes instead of keeping up with the mouse. All right, I'm back.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions about the tablets or the tablet management before we move on one more step?
So, seems like a great way to do it.
Okay, great. We can very briefly touch on this. This is just something we have. Some facilities get a little confused about what, when we say the EOC coordinator, what the expectation is, what that person will actually be doing in the system. It sounds like, though, you guys had a pretty solid EOC system before, so it sounds like you guys have a good, operationally speaking, it sounds like you guys are pretty primed for this. So from our system, basically the EOC coordinator acts kind of as a liaison between the performance logic team and your team at the facility, both OI&T and the inspectors, especially before the training, kind of working with us to make sure everything's set up for the trainings, everything's coordinated, all that stuff. And then also usually if there's, feedback from the facility that you guys want to get to us, it's a lot easier if it tends to come to the EOC coordinator and then come over to us, although of course we're happy to work with. If an individual is having problems, we're happy to help with that. Also within the system, we'll, as you just saw, we'll load up your initial configuration, but usually the EOC coordinator is someone who's also responsible for kind of keeping that updated going forward. And we show you how to do that and kind of some best practices about how to make that as easy on you as possible, since, there are so many changes at each facility. But that'll include, if there's new staff, new hires, if there's changing people, if there's construction in buildings or locations change, if departments change, all that stuff. Right. And we'll show you how to take care of that. And then also from a reporting perspective, typically the EOC coordinator often is the person who actually will generate and pull reports and present those to like the EOC committee or however the facility coordinates that end.
That's correct. That's what I'm doing now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We also on here have OI&T, but since they're not on here, we don't need to worry about that, and associate director responsibilities. And really this page is all about making sure that the EOC coordinators have the support that they need from the associate director. So if you have issues, if for some reason the team is not being very responsive or you're having trouble getting everyone to agree on, or get everyone to attend the training, things like that, that you have an outlet or you have resources to go to the associate director if you need to. Typically, we don't see that being an issue in facilities that have a good operational EOC program in it. So I don't think that you guys are going to have any problems with that. But if you do, the associate director is supposed to be on your side for your facility, and if they're not, we'll always we can have pressure put on from the VISN level or the national level to make sure that
you have to worry about that.
Yeah, sometimes it's the opposite problem.
Yeah, our associate director is very supportive of this program.
Good. That tends to make things easier on the EOC coordinator. Okay. Next steps going forward, we're actually going to kind of be looking towards doing the trainings. You guys are one of the first facilities to actually have this configuration meeting, so there isn't really set days for the trainings yet. We're hoping to do the on-site trainings towards the end of January, beginning of February-ish. The big concern with that is making sure, of course, the tablet devices are ready to go before the trainings. And, of course, the only hard part about that is it has to be kind of coordinated across an entire, or most of the VISN at least, so that we can come and do kind of like a week in each VISN or 2 weeks in each VISN. Just off the top of your head, for January and February, are there any weeks that are bad for the facility, if there's anything going on?
Yes. First 2 weeks of February, I don't know if the first week of February, which is the 3rd through the 7th, we're under an oversight inspection.
Okay.
And in preparation for that, actually, I might want to say that the last week of January might be an issue. Mm-hmm. That might be a good week to avoid.
Okay.
And probably after that oversight inspection, I'm thinking the week after that might be better than the week before. What do you think, John? Afterwards, we're so busy trying to catch up because we've all missed a week of work.
Yeah.
Week after is pretty bad, and come to think of it, if we're not ready the week before, there's not a whole lot left that we can do. maybe it's better to say not the first 2 weeks of February? What do you think, John?
Yeah, because, I mean, what's going to happen is when our inspection group leaves, they're going to want, the medical center is going to want some action plans starting the following week, as well as catching up.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree, the first 2 weeks of February are probably not good.
Probably
Okay.
not good.
And preferably, if we can coordinate it, maybe not the last week in January, but maybe the week of like the 20th. I know that the 20th is a holiday, but
Yeah, probably.
okay.
Yeah. Usually,
there-
I mean,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's okay.
Is there-
That might be okay.
Is there a particular day and time you guys typically go on rounds?
We typically would go at noon on Wednesday.
Okay. And would there be any problem? Typically, the on-site training, what it ends up looking like is in the morning we come, the Performance Logic team, and we meet with your EOC coordinator, so Kathy and John, if you want to come, of course, and OI&T basically go through the tablets, make sure that everything's good to go on the tablets, talk to you a little bit, make sure that everything's set up for the trainings, and then we do kind of typically 2 sessions of trainings, about an hour each, and that allows us to usually get between like 5 and 7 people in each training. That way, because you get your set rounds team, and then also if there's any alternates that want to come to the training. It allows it to be a little bit more, the smaller groups allow it to be a little bit more.
Ours might be just a little bit larger than that because we have a 14-member team.
Okay.
And many members on the 14-member, which is the core team, many of them have backups, and some of them have 2 backups.
Okay. Well, I know you guys have 11 tablets, so probably what we would want to coordinate with you guys is to try and set up 2 sessions at least. If we need to have a third, that's okay, with at maximum 11 people in it. That way everyone in the training can have a tablet, so that everyone gets a little bit more hands-on training. But we'll also work with you guys more on this, going like the actual day of schedule going forward.
Okay.
If we do need to, would it be a problem to adjust the time that you guys are actually going to go on the round if it needed to be a little bit more in the afternoon?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
for the training purposes. Sure.
Okay.
Hold on just a moment. I'm going to the meeting for ACR accreditation with QM and imaging at noon. I won't be on round.
Okay, Mike. Anna?
I hope so, but he's out on the final third-party contractor's inspection on the fire extinguisher, so I honestly don't know if he will be or not. And I haven't talked to him in an hour or 2. If we don't make it on time, we'll make it up.
Okay.
Okay? Okay.
I'll create a sign-in sheet and we'll get started.
We said we'd hold it here in the message
Oh, okay.
because people will either walk to 10 and 14 or catch the shuttle, so we'll just hold the sign-in sheet here because we knew everybody would not catch up. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Multiple things going on.
There always is.
We can work with the training times.
Okay.
That's not an issue. Doesn't have to be at noon. We could let them do their rounds at noon and do the training at other hours if you prefer. That's
Okay.
not an issue.
We'll coordinate all that a little bit
That's
closer to
not-
the time.
Okay.
What we'll do, for right now, for the on-site training, what we're doing is we're conducting some of these meetings, and there's some discussion still at the national level as to when they want to be doing the trainings. But early January at the latest, hopefully, we'll be reaching out to facilities with when we would like to come and do the training, and we'll confirm that with you that day is an okay day to schedule the training. And then after that point, we'll send you some more specifics about what we expect to do, or what a typical day of training looks like, and then if we need to adjust that for your facility, that's totally fine. We're basically yours for a day. So we're happy to change things around in the typical schedule if it works better for the facility. And then before the training, we'll have kind of a sign-off meeting about a week beforehand, which we'll just go through a couple last questions. We'll make sure everything's ready to go for the training. If you guys have any questions in advance that you want to set up, we can go through all of those then. We'll check in with OI&T, make sure the tablets are all good. And then, of course, we'll conduct the on-site training, which, as I said, is about a day of us typically being at the facility. And we do, if you can have a round on the day that we're there, that's great. We like to have We like to actually go on the round with the team. That way, if they have any questions about using the tablets on the round, we're there to help them.
Okay, great.
And then after usually a week after the on-site training, we'll work with you a bit when we're there, but also we'll go through some more. It's a lot of information in one day, so we like to have some trainings afterwards about how to manage your configuration, how to use the tool. For some departments like to use the tool to complete deficiencies, especially if you've got like work order clerks in engineering or EMS that resolve a larger number of deficiencies. A lot of times it's easier to use the desktop application than it is to use the web form for them, so we're happy to train them. And then also talking about reporting and looking to that and what information and how you can get information out of the system in a bunch of different ways.
Okay. I think one thing that I still owe Performance Logic is a list of the items that we currently are looking for when we go on rounds that are not on the national questionnaire or the national list. And I did want to raise the question about, we have some disciplines that are not represented, such as logistics.
So there actually was a logistics checklist that was just added, I think, last week. I can send you the updated checklist. They just approved it and just put it in. But there may still be, so some facilities have like interior design goes on the rounds, and there's no national interior design checklist.
Okay.
So if you want, we can. If there's items that you want added as local items, because they're not being checked already on the national list, we can preload those for you also. We also, if you don't have them put together in advance, we can show you how to add them yourself, and you'll be able to manage those as well going forward. But we're happy to load them in if it makes life easier.
Okay. If the logistics was just added at a national level, is that then somebody, let's say, like the ISO and logistics sharing a tablet during the inspection, and can they go back and forth between their two disciplines?
Absolutely. So one inspector can inspect multiple checklists if that's there, and they also can if one inspector has items on multiple checklists, they can go back and forth between those.
So any team member could get to any of the checklists, right?
Correct.
Doing the inspection? Okay.
So I know we only got about 5 minutes left here. I do have one question about, or two questions about the configuration data you sent that I forgot to ask before, and I apologize about that.
That's fine.
I can pull this up right here. This is the configuration guide that you guys sent that we've made a couple edits to. But one question we have is, for engineering, there's a Building 5 listed, but there wasn't a Building 5 in your buildings and locations. And we just wanted to check if there should be a Building 5 or if that was a typo on here.
Well, I think that's a Building 5. Building 5 shouldn't be listed there. That's a typo on my part.
No problem.
Building 5 is pump house, and no, it doesn't need to be there.
Okay. We just wanted to make sure. No, not a problem. And then the only other question we had is, on the department list, there's a quality management department. And on the responsible service list, there's a quality management, patient safety, risk management department, and they have slightly different contacts.
Well, and that's only because our quality management department is in such a transition, and most of the staff are in acting positions. Donna Lee is the current assisting chief of QM, but the person who is the acting chief just was made the associate director for patient care services, and Remedios Jose is an acting risk manager, and we also have an acting patient safety officer. So it really got I was struggling with who to put in there, and I tried to pick the most consistent people. If you want to take...
Is this quality management department and this one here, are they actually the same department?
Yes.
Okay.
And see, Greg is no longer in that position now. Right now,
okay.
It's changing.
So we should load in with these guys.
I was just adding that the reason that I was making QM let's see, that's a responsible service, right? The reason I was making QM a responsible service was because they have patient safety and risk management inside that department that often deal with issues on a global basis.
Okay.
And yeah, that's why.
So yeah, we can. There's two ways to do that. We can just route them to quality management and trust that these guys will know within quality management who to talk to.
Yeah. Okay.
We can also split this out if you want to have a patient safety department and a risk management department. We can do that as well. It's kind of up to you guys however you want to manage that.
I think for quality management would like to see those issues, and that's why she's there as a primary contact. I think she, for her oversight capability in that area, would want it that way. That's the way it's set up.
We'll adjust it so that these folks are then the contacts, so that the department quality management has the appropriate contacts then.
Yeah, it's just Greg on the other sheet on the department list. Greg is now gone.
Okay.
And right now Donna Lee's really the contact. Yeah. And they still work for the director, so that's fine. It's just I don't have a secondary contact over there right now.
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, we'll just basically, we'll follow this guy in here. Although so we'll basically follow this list of contacts right here, and we'll have that be the one we load in.
Okay.
Okay, well that's actually all. I mean, not actually. That's all we had on our docket to talk about today. Do you guys have any other questions? Next steps, questions, anything like that? We can answer while we're on here.
I don't think so. This is. It's sort of like the curtain on the stage is beginning to lift, and we're beginning to see what we're stepping towards, so we just look forward to it. And thank you for all the information and the updates.
Absolutely, and if you ever have any questions or if you're, not sure what step you guys are at, if you want some additional information, absolutely just shoot any of us an email, and we're happy to help get you any updates that we need, or if you have any questions.
Okay. Y'all have been great. Thanks.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.